All right, so we're going to move now into adding and subtracting rational expressions. Last section, we talked about multiplying and dividing those bad boys. And we're going to start with the simple ones first. And what happens when we are adding rational expressions that have the same denominator? Well, if the denominators are the same, then that means that we first just add or subtract the numerators and then place the result over the common denominator. Now, if the denominators are different, which we'll get to that here in the next couple of examples, we're going to have to do some simplifying by finding a common denominator and so forth. Okay, so let's go ahead and start with this guy right here then, right? So since we have a common denominator of 3x, we know that's the common denominator, and then 7. Okay, and since there's nothing that we can simplify, but you do always want to check for that. If you can simplify this, then do that, okay? Looking at part B here, once again, we see here that we have a common denominator of x minus 3, and we have x squared minus 9. Okay, now we can't just leave it like this because we can still factor this. Okay, but just one common error that I've seen before is students be like, oh, hey, look at this. The 3 right here, oh yeah, I'm going to divide that by 3 and then divide that by 3. That is an error right there. We cannot do that because when something is connected by a plus or minus, it's like this is all grouped together. They're like BFFs riding in the wind and having fun. Okay, so we can't do that right there. So we're not able to get rid of those, or we can't cross out the x's either. The only way that we can get rid of the x and the minus 3 is we have to have an x minus 3 on top. So if we factor the numerator, we should see that this is a difference of 2 squares. So that's x minus 3 and x plus 3. Okay, and then that's all over x minus 3, which means now, as you can see, we are left with just x plus 3 on top. And there we go. Same thing over here. We have a common denominator of x squared plus x minus 2, and 2 plus x is 2 plus x. We can't stop there because if we can factor, let's do that, and then we can see if we can simplify anything. So if I leave my numerator 2 plus x, I can factor the denominator to be x. Let's see here, x plus 2 and then x minus 1. And 2 plus x and x plus 2 are the exact same thing, right? You can add two numbers, switch them around, and they're the exact same thing. So, but check this out. The answer is not x minus 1 because I divided the top and the bottom by x plus 2, which makes that 1 and a 1. So it's 1 over x minus 1. You got to catch that right there. You just can't say that the answer is x minus 1. That is not the same thing as 1 over x minus 1. Okay, there we go.